Okay, in the last video we talked about Twitter and we talked a little bit about downstream thinking, which I find is very, very difficult for the addictive environment that we call social media. And we have actually created we've started a definition for downstream thinking and on our glossary, and you should be able to get to that from our last blog post. And if you haven't viewed part 2, you might want to go back and take a look at this. Downstream thinking is the context, in this context is the phrase developed by me to help students understand the flow of information, concepts, headlines, tweets, images, and memes. Downstream social data should ideally flow from one's own platform, blog or website, to secondary WRS1 and WRS2 platforms like Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, and many others. For those of you who can't remember or may have a difficult time with our jargon, WRS2 is it's your social web ring. That's the thing that surrounds your money site. You can also look that up. Okay, this is the movement of your RSS feeds both for human spaces. This is why we call it cybernetics. Cybernetics is for both human beings and machines. And human spaces should flow from your money or your content site outward through your various social media and your other blogs as well. Okay, and it's the same thing for the RSS feeds. The machine, if you're going to be threading your content RSS feeds into non-human places, into RSS feeds such as RSS feed submit and other softwares that you can use, like I have on my desktop here. RSS submit will allow you to submit things for the machine world so that it can be pinged using what we call pinging. There's all kinds of different aspects of this, which we do teach in the One Feed to Rule Them All course. Okay, so these are the things you need to understand about downstream. Downstream thinking is for both humans and machines, and this is very helpful to understand when building a network of sites, so on and so forth. So the big problem with Twitter has always been that, since we discussed in the last video that those pages can't really be indexed, you would have to get the API. There is a long way of doing it. Just get the Twitter API and then run it through pipes and then turn it into a feed. And when it goes through the feed, it'll end up looking like this: pipes.yahoo.com. Okay, and you can see, then you can click on these. It'll take you to your individual pages. Theoretically, you could use various softwares, and this is actually fairly difficult to find, softwares that will parse an RSS feed and then submit them to services such as Linklicious, Backlink Indexer, Lindex, all the various SEO backlinking services. To me, I hate that stuff, and it's a lot of work, and there's ways to automate it using certain kinds of blog plugins and the rest. But at the end of the day, those types of things should just be set and forget from your point of origin. And if you have a downstream thought process, your point of origin, which is your main money site, and you just have a plugin or something that does that, like Samson or indexing tools or these other things, there's a variety of softwares, then it's just set and forget. Then the only thing you should be focusing on is creating excellent content. Okay, and then it all floats downstream to your various social media networks, via FeedBurner, but Squidoo, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest is not on here, but you get the idea, right? So this is the whole point, is that if you focus on your primary website, your primary content site, you're going to be doing less work in the long run anyway. Okay, and this is why you really only want to tweet yourself. These things should all be, to your primary blog network or to platforms and to multimedia and rich media that you actually own. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, the problem is getting these feeds pinged and getting them into the index services usually require a copy and paste modality, because most of those services just aren't great and they don't understand RSS or XML or JSON. And so there's not very many services out there that make this easy so that it's just set and forget. There are a few exceptions to that, which we discuss in our course. Now there's an easier way, which is just to simply use, first of all, before I go there, let's go to what I'm really trying to say when it comes to getting those sites indexed. So you could ping them and run them through services and so on and so forth. But to give you an example here of this mythology, okay, of whether or not Twitter gets indexed or not, it obviously doesn't. There's certain things you can do like if these were getting indexed, much of the content, let me just go to one. This is to a WR2 blog. It got published on accident. But if you see, this is the what Matt Cutts calls the Twitter page. Okay, now if that was getting indexed, you would be able to find this number, and it does not match any documents currently. This number is a random number, and it doesn't match any documents. You see? And that's the problem with Twitter, is that this has not been, perhaps it's possible if a tweet was embedded to get it indexed, but I've found very few of those. So if you find embedded tweets getting indexed, let me know. I could be entirely wrong about it, but I have done a little bit of research, and it's very difficult to get page rank, or unless you do some fancy footwork. But there's an easier way, because to embed something you have to go and embed it, and it's just such a pain in the you-know-what. So the solution is a fantastic service called Twyla. Okay, and right now we're talking about solutions, because we've moved from, step 2, the problem, to Twitter facts you need to know about, the solution. And this is you have to get a Twyla page, you have to sign up and be invited, you have to have 60 tweets or greater, and then Kim and her husband end up looking to see whether or not your Twitter account looks real, and they don't try to do spammy things. They try not to let people in who are spammy. But this is an amazing software, because it actually just creates pages for you and gets them indexed. So, and it does it automatically. So for example, if we go to the search engine, and we already know we couldn't find anything there. We couldn't find the Twitter page indexed, but I could probably find the post. Yeah, see, the post is not going to, the short link's not going to be in there because that's not indexed. Okay, you can see that. Let me see if I can find my own. I should be on the first page somewhere. That's actually a fairly competitive term, and I'm only covering it on let me show you something that was just recently. Here's a good one. Now the headline is probably there. I use sitemaps to get indexed really quickly. Okay, so you can see right under YouTube video, my blog is, my auto blog is there. Okay, now there is some curation happening on this blog, but it's virtually hands-free. Now within a couple of days, my video will drop under it because I'm using a special video plugin, and it will look precisely the same, and probably a little bit of time after that I'll outrank the YouTube video. Okay, so here's the actual. Okay, and because I have a sitemap, video sitemap, this video should be giving me a thumb fairly soon. Okay, my point is that the only thing that I ever did is publish this through a sitemap and Twitter it out. But there's been a lot of talk that Twitter allows that to happen, and it's not really the case. It's really my Twyla stuff that, helps me make that happen. And just to give you a little bit of a point, let's go over to Twyla. Before we go to Twyla, I realize this is a super long tail, so I'm going to lose some ranking probably. Yeah, because Curation Nation is so popular, but many of the long tails, I remain on the first page all the way up to the second keyword. Okay, so that's really useful. Curation Nation's a little more popular, and I would have to do some link building actually. I normally don't have to do any link building with the way I'm currently doing the long tails, obviously. Okay, so let's go over to, let's go ahead and take that whole phrase, because it just really refers to a blog post, right? Okay, we're going to go to Twyla. Okay, well, it's going to be, I'm already logged in via Twitter. All right. Okay, so this is what the Twyla page looked like, and you can give yourself all kinds of background. You can change your themes. This isn't a sales pitch for Twyla, as much as it is a really simple way for you to get your Twitter indexed, as well as do many other things that you don't have to manually copy and paste your downstream URLs. That's really painful, and you shouldn't have to do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can find. I don't think I tweeted that through Twyla. So what we need to do, let me show you. Here's a Twyla. This is something I just did a few hours ago. Twitter, you need to care about. Let's go ahead and look and see. The difference between Twitter and Twyla by itself is amazing. It like supercharges when you do it. It's called a power tweet. Okay. Okay, normally it just takes a couple hours for Twyla to get there, so it's not. Let me just go back a little bit further in time, maybe a day or two. Better way to do it would just be to grab an example. Okay, just go to theme zoom. Let's just take something that we've randomly grabbed. Here's an example, Curation Profits e-learning course. If you click on that, what it does is it'll take your Twitter tweet and it'll generate a page out of it. Okay, this is really bad though, this headline. Such a terrible example. I think that happened because it was part of, yeah, it's because I actually was doing an experiment and I Twyla a Google Plus. How to use curation software, okay. Let's go back to one of our own. That was an experiment, so it's not really good. Let's go to our webinars. Webinar, the last keyword tool, natural language processing, Edge. Okay, so this is what it did with the tweet on its own automatically. Took the video of the webinar that I tweeted and turned it into its own page. There's no page rank to it yet, but I have had Twyla pages that actually generated page number rank. If you really think that, that's pretty amazing. Remember how we grabbed that string for Twitter and put it in Google and you got nothing? Well, if you put a Twyla page in Google, usually it will come up. So here's a Twyla number, which is one of the pages that has actually been indexed. Okay, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, but I have shown a much more common indexing when you're using the one-feed methods that we've created and the content curation or curationprofits.com methods that we have created. Twyla just has a whole lot more indexing. Further, you're seeing a lot more of the results on the search engines. Okay, so if you can take any, if I just took any headline, you know, you're going to find Twyla contributing to what I call your roadblock. Roadblock is when you rank for several positions at once for a given word on the search engine. So you can literally just take, say, one of the headlines of something that's been tweeted downstream. Okay, and you can see the YouTube video. Okay, just try out another one, almost the same headline. Here's a Twyla listing. Okay, it's not always at the top, but it usually is. So you can see a PR web release, Network Empire News with my author markup. And occasionally we'll have some other things. People have borrowed or snagged some of our content. These are all curation systems. And you can see the Twyla URL is there. Okay, so this just the reason I'm emphasizing this is that this was passive. I didn't do anything to get that Twyla listing. Once you're admitted into Twyla, you have an indexing tool. Okay, and once Twyla is there, you know, those pages more or less are getting indexed. You can see that. Okay, all you got to do is pull those really difficult random numbers. You'll almost always never see that with Twitter accounts unless you're embedding the Twitter random number or the page in some way. And if you're doing embedding, they can get indexed. But there was a major change in the relationship between Google and Twitter. So I'm finding Twyla to be a really nice addition. And you can think of it in terms of SEO as a passive way of getting what you're already tweeting indexed anyways. Okay, and you can see that this is a Twitter listing, And you can see that the Twitter ID is the same as the Twyla ID. And I believe that's the case all the way around. It's just in this particular instance, this did get indexed, which meant it got crawled. Okay, probably because it was an OnlyWire. I was getting it crawled through OnlyWire. So this is a rather old. Has to do with the way that I was using that as a backlink. Okay, let's go ahead and just test one more just for fun, because this is really mostly experimental. See if we can find an older one. Okay, you can see that this is the OnlyWire. If it wasn't crawled, it wasn't indexed, so it depends on how the page is going here. Nothing there. Okay, here's an interview with Robin Good. Okay, and you can see that both the Twitter and the Twyla were indexed. Okay, and you can see that they're the same ID. There's many instances where Twyla is indexed and contributes to your ranking factor and contributes to your roadblock on the front page where Twitter is not indexed or ranked. I'm going to point something out here. If you go to the Twitter, you can see that the short link that's used is Google's own short link. This is a tip that I'm going to show to inside members, because I do believe it's a contributing factor, but because we're still inspecting that, I don't want to get into it right now. Let's go back and look at that other one that we were just on, that we found had been indexed. This is really kind of my takeaway here when I'm trying to reveal. Okay, here's another Twyla badge where the Twitter did not get indexed. That's probably because it was scooped. I believe I used Scoop It to get that one in. Scoop It gets you indexed every time. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do an experiment here, since we're in the experimenting mood. And this is how you kind of work this stuff, guys. You just do some experimentation. I'm going to go to Twitter. We're just talking today about indexing and how you can use Twitter profiles with Twyla to get yourself indexed more prolifically. Okay, and I'm actually going to be working on it quite a bit more this year as well, because I'm lazy. I believe in, you know, going for easy stuff where it's possible and working smarter, not harder. If we go back to, let's just take some of these other, you can see that this is Google's short link. Now, the way that the Google short link works is it uses Google short link tied to this account. And again, let's go ahead and see if that got indexed. Looks like not. So it doesn't mean, and what we just did there is we troubleshot to determine whether the short link had anything to do, this is one of the things I've been testing, as to whether the short link has anything to do with these getting indexed. And I believe after researching this yesterday that I decided that it does not. Okay, here's a Profit e-learnings course. Let's see if this one has been indexed yet. Okay, see if we got crawled and indexed. And that did not. So let's go ahead and type scoop.it, Twyla, theme sim. It's a little method I should help you with. Okay. Okay, now you can see this. Here's some Twyla things that probably got scooped. Now we're just going to walk backwards from Twitter. We're going to walk backwards from Scoop It. And this is how you kind of find which social media platforms are helping you get crawled, and so on and so forth. Okay, you can see here that this is the URL. And you can tell that it obviously got crawled, because this random number, Twitter, Twyla. So this is a status. This Twitter got indexed twice. Allows me to share it on Google+. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so what happened here is that it's Twyla that allowed, it's probably Scoop It that got this crawled, because This particular story was scooped and it was on Storify. See that? So here's Twyla. Okay, and you can see again that there's many ways to get these indexed, but Twyla is really going to be a way for you to be lazy in 2013 with your tweets and attempt to get them indexed. Now, there's other ways you can get these indexed, obviously. But if Twyla helps you get indexed, it gets your tweet indexed, and that means that your URL inside the tweet is getting crawled. Okay, and this should normally be a follow link. It passes PageRank. Bitly does. Hootsuite does not. Okay, it's has to do with 301, 302s. Okay, and you can see what I'm scooping is the WordPress theme. Okay, here's what I'm talking about. Okay, so the summary, and what I'm really trying to point out is that all you got to do is go to Twyla, and you'll get a lot more of your pages, a lot more of your tweets crawled. And you don't have to embed your tweets manually to get them crawled, because Twyla, when you sign up, you will automatically have all of your Twitter tweets incorporated into Twyla by just a simple app that you attach to your Twitter account under applications. Okay, and that will allow a whole lot more of your stuff to be indexed. If you share your Twyla in different ways, if you scoop your Twylas or find some other ways to syndicate them. Let me just go ahead and look at the apps. You can drive even more page rank and set up your automated systems to be able to allow that to happen. Okay, so let me just go ahead and see if I can find the Twyla for you. Should be down here. Okay, it's right here. And so these fan pages that Twyla is generating will really help you get indexed a lot faster. Okay, and you can even link to, if you link to your Twyla stuff on some of your various less important pages, you can also keep them active and make sure things get crawled. At this time, I do not know if Twyla has an RSS feed. I don't think that they do. Okay, but they do act as an indexing service for, as well as the Twitter API RSS, which you can also submit to your RSS submit every once in a while if you want. It'll get them pinged, if not always indexed, but it'll get them pinged. One thing you need to be aware of is that the power tweet is something you drag into your toolbar. So for example, if we take Network Empire's main page and I do a power tweet, okay, you can change it if you want. It's so much better because actually it's like incorporating Twyla's power tweet, like incorporates TwitPic and Telly, formerly TwitVid, all these things at once. I like the format. It's pretty nice. You can add it to buffer if you want. Click send now, and it will update. You can also re-socialize it. It's just a better formatted tweet in my opinion. And you already know the chances of it getting indexed are really well. If you had selected those other social media platforms such as Google+, then your tweets would be getting indexed every time. The problem that I have with the power tweet is that you have to manually do it each time, and I'm not going to speak too much about that, but just put it this way, that I have ways of making that not manual, okay, which I'm beyond the scope of this video. But within the spirit of Twyla, just to make sure that everybody power tweets better content, and if you socialize that tweet and send it to more places than just Twitter, you're definitely going to get indexed, especially if you send it to Google+. So let's try it again. Of course, when you update your feed, your Twitter feed, it's almost instantaneous. Okay, you can see the two things that I just recently, it's already updated on Pipes, and Pipes is I made a Twitter out of Pipes. That's the only way to turn it into a regular RSS feed, by the way, because the code and API.code is not. Okay, lost the API, but you get the idea. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at Google+. Google+ is a fast way to make sure that all of your tweets and your Twylas are indexed. Okay, just click on your profile, view profile. Okay, this is a former post. Okay, so anytime you run a Twitter or a Twyla through here, through Google+, you're going to get indexed because it's Google+. This was the purpose of me creating an RSS feed, which you can visit us at onefeedtorulethemall.com for your Google+, is to make sure that you're automatically getting the backlinking and indexing of stuff you're already doing passively. And Twyla is a great way to do that as well. So one of the things that you can do here, here's a PR web. You could get that indexed if it's not indexed. Okay, let's go ahead and power tweet through Twyla the last post to the last video that we did. Power tweet it. Okay, we need to go down to the page level. This will guarantee that the tweet, what I'm about to show you guarantees, this is the manual way to make a guarantee that you get indexed. But we'll just go power tweet. Okay, it's going to set that up. We're going to send this now. Twyla will automatically truncate this so you don't have to sweat it. And then if this goes directly to your Google Plus page, I have ways of setting that up through Hootsuite and the rest. Okay, go ahead and click share. You don't even have to add a comment. That's going to be indexed in, which will give you the results that we showed you, where that random Twitter page, which is the same page that Twyla creates for you, will find itself in the search engine. And also any keywords in this headline is going to end up ranking with you and for you on the search engine. So this long exercise that I've dragged you through is me wanting to show you how indexing and parsing happens, and to validate what Matt Cutts said, that they don't look at Twitter pages, they don't crawl them. You have to get them in the search engine, and there's a bunch of different ways of doing it, as I've shown you. You can parse, you can get the feed parsed and submitted through Backlink Indexer. You can use your blog when set up properly, all this downstream thinking, or you can use Twyla, or all of the above, to make sure that they're getting there. I am saying that my focus on Google Plus, okay, is really, in essence, to help you get indexed faster. And this is why we created the RSS feed for you. And if you need to know more information about how to turn RSS Google Plus into an RSS feed, what's cool about that is that you don't even need to turn Google Plus into an RSS feed, and you're probably going to get crawled. Okay, and anything, whether it's a Twitter update or a Twyla update, anything that you put in your Google Plus is going to get into the index, depending upon your profile. And this is why we want you to automate this in a downstream fashion, so that you aren't constantly tweeting and twittering and Facebooking everything manually every time. Make sure that it's all indexed and that all pages and tweets and Twitters and links, preferably with the short links being passing PageRank, are getting indexed in the search engine, and you're passively doing this stuff without having to worry about massive social media campaigns and the rest. So anybody who's telling you that retweeting and so on and so forth is what's getting you indexed, it really does depend 100% on the quality of the retweets. I'm going to do a live presentation with you now. And we're going to take a look at something that was recommended to me. It's called Twitter backlinks, and what they do is they just constantly retweet your stuff. I haven't been back in here, so I don't know if this is a fail or a success. But here's some things that have been retweeted a bunch of times. Here's one that's been retweeted 49 times. So let's go ahead and see if this rather expensive service is helping me out. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, that's actually a Twyla. So Twyla probably got it indexed for me if it wasn't the service. It's not a clean test. So let's go to Google. Actually, I could just put the number in there. Okay, you can see that this Twitter is indexed. Okay, part of that's because, although I don't see the Twyla indexed, it's very, very interesting. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. And since that got us indexed, you can see that there's been 49 retweets. So it's possible that that number of retweet has been really, really helpful. Yep, and the Twyla number was not indexed while that one was. Okay, so that is saying something positive for a service like Retweet or Twitter backlinks. Let's go ahead and test another one. Here's another one that's been 53 times. Okay, SEO force multiplier. Is that what it just did? No, but that's also a Twyla. I want to do a test without Twyla, but let's go ahead and pull that. Let's look in Google, see if that comes back. Yeah, this one was Twyla and Twitter. Both of these got indexed. Okay, could be the retweeting, but let's go ahead and find one that does not have Twyla involved if we can. Let's go back to something earlier. Here's something with 33 retweets that I paid for. That used Bitly. So let's try one with that did not have Twyla involved. Okay, this was a Twyla as well. Okay, the thing is that Twyla is attached to every account. So you can see that Twyla is further downstream than Twitter, and it's getting indexed. But that could really have had to do with those retweets from Twitter backlinks. It's entirely possible. What we're going to do here is we're going to check to see if anything in Twitter backlinks was not indexed. That's a really excellent test. Let's go up to the one that was only 16 times. See if we can. That was not indexed. Or actually, let me see. There it is. Okay, just go for the numbers. Twitter and Twyla. Okay, so the real question is this $40 service that can be up to a $100 service for retweeting responsible for getting these tweets indexed and then your links spidered or not? Okay, that's the real mystery, and we've been testing a lot. So I just want to give you a sense of how you do this testing, and we can do it on a really massive scale. Okay, let's go here, and that's a YouTube video. Now that's going to be an exception because it's a YouTube video as far as indexing. Let's go ahead and toss that in. You can see that there has been some removed. These are probably the retweets. So notice how Twyla is considered a fresh index, and my original tweet is the first index. The omitted results probably are all those retweets. Nope, omitted results are the same Twitter account, was the same exact thing as this, the secure Twitter URL. Okay, so that's really up to you to decide how if you want to pay for Twitter retweet services. Retweets can be great if it gets your message out. However, one of the things I noticed with this service, Twitter backlinks, is when you start looking at everything, let's go to, say, one that's only been, have we already done that one? Yeah, we've done these. Okay, let's just take one that we haven't done. I don't think we've done this one. One of the things that I've noticed, this is a Twyla. Nah, I've already done that. Is that, okay, it's indexed without Twyla, okay, which is great. That's very possible. If you click on that and you go to the number of retweets, all of these are retweets that I purchased. All the retweets are with followers. Most of them are not eggs. There's a few eggs in there. Those are brand new. But they usually have 100 followers or less. Okay. So the real question to recognize that I want you to understand when it comes to Twitter backlinks, Pinterest backlinks, and all these services are these followers are not surgically targeted. You can automate surgically targeted followers who will actually click on your stream when you're thinking downstream from your blog, when you're updating, especially even your WR2 blogs, when you have automated content that's related and interesting but automated. Okay, anybody tells you auto blogging is out doesn't understand how to make it work. That's all. Okay, and you can go down, you can offer these things downstream, but these retweets were created by the Twitter backlink company, and they're probably not going to click on your link very often because they're not really human beings. They're automated mass automation Twitter accounts. I know because it's how we build our Twitter armies as well. But we like to create focused followers for the niche that is sending its information downstream. So what I would ask you is $30 to $50 a month with, is it worth it just for the retweets when the only retweeting power that you're really getting is some indexing, when Twyla will get you indexed by default most of the time? Okay, so that's the real question that I have when it comes to spending money on retweeting. Do you really need, if you're going to spend money on retweeting, don't spend it only to get indexed. Make sure that there's some other benefits that you're getting, because you can easily, if it's for press releases or anything else, you could easily just set up a special Twitter account and a special blog and tweet those articles downstream and connect a Twila account to that Twitter account and get indexed. Okay. Other things you can do is you can run your Twitter account feed on your blog, and your blog will get parsed, and then your Twitter accounts will also get indexed. Paying for retweets is highly speculative at this point, and more testing is done. If you have any information where you've just crushed it through retweeting and you believe that's the reason why you're crushing it, you should give me more information on that, because I haven't seen any evidence really that you need to spend a lot of money on retweets when all those processes can be automated and turned into basically a social cybernetic data feed with automated means, as long as you're thinking within terms of downstream thinking. All right? Russell Wright from networkempire.com. We'll see you on the inside.